Okay. Oh, there's a hole in the shelf. I wonder what goes there. Hello, Internet, and welcome to 7 months after Essen. Has it been 7 months? November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, technically, well, 7 months since Essen 2016. So we came back from Essen with 31 games for ourselves. We went to Essen with a top 14 list, which I have here. And today I'm going to talk to you about what games from that top 14 list made the cut, essentially, and are still in our collection 7 months later, and we're excited about. So yeah, we had 14 games that we were interested in getting at Essen, and number 14 was La Granja No Siesta, and La Granja No Siesta is the dice game version of La Granja, and yeah, we really like this game. We took this game on vacation with us. We were able to teach our 7-year-old nephew. He loved this game. We love this game. We've played it with a variety of people and a variety of different player counts. It's pretty easy to teach to non-gamers or gamers alike. It's interesting for gamers. It's kind of interesting when Steve and I play it by ourselves. The games take so long because we try to complete everything in the game, whereas some people will play with and the game takes 20 minutes because they're like racing towards the end. So it's interesting. We really like it. If you are kind of hesitant because it's a roll and write game, it's not like any other roll for write game. It's a lot more of a resource management game that just leverages the dice and some dice drafting as the thing. It's not like Avenue or Rolling America or Quinks or anything like that, where you roll and you kind of do number stuff. It's a lot more interesting than that for sure. We love that one. I don't know what rating system I'll give that, but when I was writing the list, No Siesta had 3 hearts next to it. So sure, 3 hearts. Don't know out of how many hearts we're going, but 3 hearts. All right, number 13 on our list back in the day was Fan and Mallet. Fan and Mallet is a 2-player only game, and Fan and Mallet, the idea is that you're fighting your 2 different gods. One is of like cleanliness and wealth, and the other one is like poverty and filth, I believe, and you're competing over ownership of this village, and there's different houses at the village, and you kind of possess different items at these houses, and you're trying to possess the majority of items at the house. It really started off, I picked it up because it sounded interesting, similar to like a Battle Line or Shot and Totten. We still have it in our collection. We enjoyed playing it. It's an entirely different brain burn than Shot and Totten or Battle Line, because we have to think about when you play a card, it has implications for like where the marker moves around the center, because when you play a card, you're limited to play it clockwise from where the previous player played. So it kind of has like similar to Patchwork, where like when I buy something, it's going to advance the pawn, so you're limited on where you can purchase as my opponent. Fan and Mallet has a similar vibe, but it has to do with possessing items. The art is super traditional Japanese creepy, and so we enjoy it from that standpoint. It is still in our collection. I don't really see it leaving our collection right now, mostly just because it is such an interesting game, and it's different enough from Shot and Totten to be interesting. So there's that. As for hearts, I'll put 1 heart next to it. We're just gonna invent the heart thing. So Fan and Mallet has 1 heart next to it. Yeah! Number 12 on our list was Honshu, and Honshu actually ended up being our most played game of 2016, even though we got it mid to late October. So that should say something for you. It actually just dropped in the US, which is pretty sweet. I have a review of it coming soon, as soon as I finish that B-roll. And yeah, we talked about this game so much when we got back. We were so excited about it. We streamed it immediately, even though I was sick, and it was our first stream, and we were just eating, and it was like crazy. It's not a great stream. Maybe I'll do a new stream. But Honshu, we really like it. We like it for 2-player, we like it for 3-player, we like it for 4-player, we like it for 5-player. There's very few players or people that I have played with it that don't like it. On first impression, people think that it's kind of just like random with the cards, but as you play more, as Steve and I have done, you realize that the number that is on the card from 1 to 60 relates to what features are on the card. So the cards that are more valuable, like that have more spaces that are easier to overlap or play on top, are the more expensive cards, are not necessarily more expensive cards. And then like there's a shift in what goods are available. So like wood and fishing or whatever fish wood is more available in the beginning lower cards, and gold is more available at the higher numbered cards. So if you invest in getting a lot of wood, factories or manufacturers or depots, I forget what they're called, places that need wood, you want to make sure that you want to try and get lower cards, which might mean that you want to play a higher card so you can pick the lower card. It's an interesting game, and I feel like the more you play it, the more interesting it is, and the more layers you see. It's not just kind of gimmicky. So there's my spiel on Honshu. Oh, and Honshu has 2 hearts next to it on my list, which you would be like, Tiffany, that's not more than 3 hearts, but no Siesta has. And I'm just like, the rating system's arbitrary. It's got 2 hearts. There you go. It probably has 2 hearts because it takes up more table space and is an interesting thing. That's probably why I like No Siesta more. Okay, so next up we have Lorenzo Il Magnifico. So I talked about this in the haul video. So that was our number 11 pick, and we do enjoy Lorenzo Il Magnifico. It is still in our collection. It's actually, it's actually moved to the shelf of shame because we want to play it. Steve and I want to play it again and maybe try with a different player count to see how we actually feel about it. Our friend John really likes it. Maybe we'll just give it to him. But we do like it better than Grand Austria Hotel, which we did get rid of shortly after playing Lorenzo Il Magnifico, because we're less dependent on the dice that get rolled. So if we need coffee in Grand Austria Hotel and nobody rolls those coffees, it's really expensive to get coffees and get guests, and you can kind of like screw yourself between rounds. Lorenzo Il Magnifico is a lot less dependent on the die rolls. There's more things that you can do to compensate for bad die rolls, and it just is more interesting from a card and stacking in the tableau. I really like how the tableau builds out. It's more interesting. There's more ways to get an engine going in that one for sure, like way more than Grand Austria. So that is that. It currently has no hearts next to it, and I'm not going to add a heart to it because it is on the shelf of shame. I don't know if it's going to stay in our collection. I know that hi Zena. I know that Cool Mini or Not just released it in the US, and I'm like, maybe I'll get rid of it. So you have that to think about. The number 10 on our list was Feast for Odin. So Feast for Odin is definitely still in our collection, and Steve and I the other night were like, we wanted to play Feast for Odin, but we didn't have enough table space on the table, so we didn't play it. So that's a consideration. But Feast for Odin, we both really enjoy. It does have some fiddliness. The setup time is a little longer. It's almost, we really love Caverna, and so he and I sometimes have this problem where it's like, yeah, it'd be great to play Feast for Odin, or we could just play Caverna because we have the awesome broken token insert, and so setup is way faster and we are more familiar with the game. But at the same point, we both really enjoy Feast for Odin. It's a puzzle. We both have scored not amazingly. Like, we've seen scores and stuff online from people, and our scores are really bad compared to that of those online. So yeah, we need to play more. But you can see the stream of us playing it somewhere. Link down below for all the streams of all of these games that we have played, because we have streamed almost all of these games. So there's that. Also, if you're curious, we got Feast for Odin 1 heart because we do like it, though it doesn't hit the table as often because it is so big and so heavy, and setup does take quite a while, but we do enjoy it quite a bit. Our number 9 game was Potions Brew, which was the winner of the, I can't remember it now, but anyway, Potions Brew was only for 3 to 4 players, and the rules were kind of weirdly written, and we actually never ended up playing it and just got rid of it. There were some really not favorable reviews of it online. Trying to get 3 players and find the time to play it just didn't ever work out, and given the rules and like I wasn't sure how you were supposed to play, and like I had an idea of how to play, I just didn't see how it was interesting, and it just never happened. So Potions Brew has an X next to it. You don't really see anybody talking about it after the fact, and it bums me out because it was the winner, and I feel kind of crappy about never giving it a chance, like actually playing it before getting rid of it. But sometimes that's how it goes when you have a really strict like shelving purging rule. So yeah, but if you're curious, it has an X next to it because apparently my arbitrary rating system has X's. So there you go. Our number 8 game was Power Grid the card game. So Power Grid the card game is a card game version of Power Grid. Steve and I love Power Grid. I especially love Power Grid. My brother loves Power Grid, so I was really excited about the card game. I screwed up. So we got the German version, which doesn't include English rules, which kind of sucks. Steve read the English rules and I skimmed a flowchart, and there's just like a lot involved with the game in regards to setup and flow and whatnot, and it's just, we haven't played it. We've been waiting to play with more people because somebody said that it wasn't great with 2 players, and we have very limited 3-player game time, so it's just one of those games that just hasn't happened. It's been living on our stream shelf since we got it, since we brought it back from Essen, but I'm still interested in playing it. People say that it does a really good job of being card game, or Power Grid the card game, so yeah. For the rating system, it has 2 question marks next to it because we don't know, but I really am still giving it a shot. Speaking of card game versions, number 7 was Las Vegas the Card Game, designed by Rudiger Dorn, and this one we definitely have played. It is a standalone version of Las Vegas, and instead of rolling dice to determine what you have a hand of cards, and you pick which cards you want to add to casinos as you're playing. And the cards are mini cards. It's like the only negative about it. It's similar to Castles Burgundy the card game in that regard, but we enjoyed it. It feels like Las Vegas, but with cards, and it's interesting. Part of me wants to take the mini card versions of all the casinos, which are the same as in the base game, and get mini dice, like mini dice, and make a travel game version of Las Vegas. The other part of me is like, why do I have this box when I can just put all the cards for it in the Las Vegas box that I have? And it's like, oh, well, it's a travel-friendly Las Vegas dice game, or Las Vegas game. And I'm like, that's true, but do I need 2 versions of the same game? Like, Las Vegas is super easy for me to pull out and play with muggles, like non-gamers and gamers alike. It's got a lot more interesting strategy than people really realize. Yes, it's somewhat random, but people are a lot more interested in learning a game when you hand them like 8 dice and just be like, you get to roll these! Like, a little bit more excited than when I hand them a deck of cards and try to explain how the cards work. So yeah. For the rating system, this game gets a heart and a question mark because we enjoyed it. We liked it 2-player way more than we like the dice game 2-player. But at the same point, it's like, does this have a place in our collection? Maybe if I make it a travel-friendly version of our beloved Las Vegas, but then am I really playing the card game? Like, I'm not sure. It's interesting. It adds something different than the dice game. I enjoy it in its own right. But I don't know if I enjoy it more than the dice game so much that it, you know, can stay in the collection. So that's that. Next up is Great Western Trail, designed by Alex P. Pfister. I realize I haven't been saying anything about the people that design these games, but Great Western Trail was kind of like the belle of the ball of Essen. A lot of people really liked it. It is now our favorite Alex P. Pfister game, and that's saying something because he does some really great stuff. We actually played it and then immediately got rid of, I can't even remember. That's how important that game was to us. The one where you're in Africa and you're colonizing it and spreading in the way. Whatever that P. Pfister game is, we got rid of that after playing Great Western Trail. I really like the deck building mechanic. Now Ichi's here. I really like the deck building mechanic with the cows and how you can gain territories, and every time you play it's going to be slightly different based on what employees can come out and are available. I got a similar vibe. We played it in Trainuary, I believe, or maybe we just played it right before Trainuary. You can see the stream if you want to watch that. But it has things in it that remind me of like Russian Railroad and Snowdonia and like a little bit of Eminent Domain, interestingly enough, with the deck building aspect. So yeah, I really like it. It's interesting. It's a nice blend of mechanics and concepts. The theme is the theme. It's not horrendous. It doesn't turn me off. It doesn't really turn me on. It's well executed for the game. So yeah, that one has 2 hearts in our arbitrary heart rating system. And it's one that, like, the other day, Steve and I were just like, man, I want to play Great Western Trail. And somebody we were with was like, yeah, let's play that. And then we just never... Number 5 Number 5 on our list was Fold It, which is the fun food folding, well, it's fabric folding game from Korean publisher. I don't remember the name, but Fold It is, we've had so much fun with it. It is one of the games that we pull out and play quite a bit. It is enjoyable. I love people's reactions. It works for any type of gamer, but there is a problem with Fold It. I have played Fold It every time we've pulled out Fold It, and we typically are playing it with people who haven't played it before. So I have a very large advantage because I now know the kind of folds that I need to do. Like, there's a card that's flipped, and the card that's flipped says what dishes need to be the only dishes that you can see via folding on just the straight lines of the fabric. And a lot of the cards you can accomplish by doing certain types of folds, and so like there's ways of doing like a back fold and then an under fold and like stuff like that. But once you learn all of these fold tricks, it's just applying those sorts of folds to the thing to get the card that you need. And once you get good at that, you can go really fast. And I have been winning constantly at that game because I now know those folds, and we always play with new people. Steve is even getting better at it, though he was really bad at it to begin with, and he's still not that great. So in our arbitrary system, Fold It gets 3 hearts because we do love it. We pull it out with muggles all the time. It's fun. Everybody enjoys it. It's so different and just a completely different concept of a game that kind of blows people away. But we also give it a question mark because I realized on Monday when I last played it, like, I don't know if this needs to stay in my collection for much longer because, like, unless we just don't play it for a really long time and I forget the folds, like, I don't know how fun it's gonna be to keep around, if that makes sense. So yeah. All right, number 4 on the list, I've already mentioned it, Shot and Totten. So Shot and Totten is the remake of the Shot and Totten game, which is the original game, which Battle Line is like tweaked from, if that makes sense. Shot and Totten would be the 3rd version of Battle Line that we have now, and we still enjoy it. We really like it. The art is different from the classic Battle Line, and the art is a lot more interesting to Steve and I. This version of Shot and Totten has adopted some of the things that Battle Line did, like the tactics cards and whatnot. So from an art standpoint, it basically kind of fully replaces Battle Line for us, though we do have a bootleg French Star Wars copy which replaces that art. So yeah, the rating system on this is 2 hearts. We do enjoy the game. I'm just gonna go ahead and add a question mark to it because I'm starting to be like, do I really need 3 different versions of what is essentially the same game? And the answer is I need one of the versions. Is Shot and Totten the one that I keep? I mean, probably. I will definitely keep the French Star Wars one because it's awesome. But now I'm like, do I need to keep Battle Line? So I have a feeling if it was between Battle Line and Shot and Totten, Battle Line would lose because the art is a lot less interesting and the box is a lot larger than Shot and Totten. But who knows? I have to have that fight. So yeah, Shot and Totten is 2 hearts and a question mark on this arbitrary rating system. Number 3 on our list was Maduris from Hava Games, and so this is what I like to call teach your kids how to do taxes. It's over here. I love it. I love this game. Steve played it with me for the first time, I think on the stream, and like he didn't realize how heavy it is. Like, it's super easy to teach, it's cute, it's Hava, it's artsy, you're like, yay! And then you're like, this game is brutal, just like real life home ownership. So yeah, I really do still enjoy Maduris. You should watch the stream of it. We played, it's a lot of fun. We play it 2-player, it works 2-player, it works 3-player, it works 4-player. It's great. I don't know why more people aren't playing it. It's super hardcore. I think the Hava title kind of like gets people off of purchasing it, not like in the good way of getting people off. Anyway, Maduris is still one of like the high rated whatevers from Essen for us, and it gets 3 hearts in our arbitrary rating system. Alright, we're getting close. Number 2 was Railroad Revolution, and Railroad Revolution was a letdown for us. I know a lot of people have been getting it and enjoying it because I think Fun Again or somebody has it in stock again, but we played it twice. Steve played it twice, John played it twice, I played it once. After I played it, I said my thoughts. John and Steve were like, yeah, we had similar thoughts, and second play didn't make it better. So it's actually gone from our collection. It gets an X. Basically, it felt like a leveled up Ticket to Ride, but it wasn't as interesting as Ticket to Ride. There were some things going on with like placements and track building, and then like you could do things with like the telegram wires for different stuff, and it just felt like we were doing too many things that didn't necessarily need to happen, and the theme was kind of like vaguely trainish, and so that was a slight turnoff for me. But in the grand scheme of things, I mean, we didn't play it. We played Great Western Trail shortly after we played it, and Great Western Trail, like, just when you compare those two games, if you just strip the theme away from both of them and you looked at what those games were and what you were doing in those games, Railroad Revolution just couldn't compare. And everybody left the table when we played it kind of feeling meh. And so it just is one of those things where it was like, when would we ever play this game? And everybody had games that they would rather play from the collection, and so it just left. It left pretty quickly, and it found a new home, and I hope the person that got it really enjoys it. This isn't to say that you won't enjoy this game, maybe you will. There's some other reviewers and whatnot that have gotten it and played it. You can watch our stream of it right there and kind of make your own decisions based off that. But that is how that went for us, and it kind of stinks because that was a number 2. That was really high up there, and yeah, that's the other X on the list. And the number 1 game that we were interested in getting at Essen was Cottage Garden by Uwe Rosenberg. Cottage Garden is still in our collection. We like Cottage Garden a lot. Cottage Garden actually fired Patchwork for us from a 2-player game perspective. Steve and I actually enjoy playing Cottage Garden 2-player more than we enjoy playing Patchwork 2-player. I don't really know why that is. I mean, I know why that is. Patchwork is more of an economic game with the balance of buttons and times, and then you have the 3D aspect of like trying to complete your quilt, whereas Cottage Garden, you're trying to complete individual soil patches and you can track the movement of the pieces in the grid. It's a little bit more interesting than Patchwork, and you don't really necessarily have the same currency equations that are going on, where what you're using to purchase things is also your final in-game points. So we feel like we can teach Cottage Garden to more players. We can play it with up to 4 players and we will enjoy it, and it works really well with muggles, and at the same point, like, we really enjoyed the 2-player. So as much as it pained me to get rid of an Uwe Rosenberg game, Patchwork is no longer in our collection. Cottage Garden, though, interestingly, is not one of our top ranking games from Essen this year. While we have played it quite a bit and we do think it's adorable, the setup time, just like Feast for Odin, is pretty long. Not like insanely long, but pretty long. And while it is cute and adorable, it still is just 1 heart for us. So yeah, in an arbitrary rating system, Cottage Garden is 1 heart. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna give it 1.5 hearts. No, it's just 1 heart. It's just 1 heart. Because I was thinking, like, you know, Feast for Odin is 1 heart. And do I like Cottage Garden more than Feast for Odin? I think the answer is no. Like, no. I like them both, I think, equally. They both occupy different niches in regards to time and how long they take to play, and also like how much brain power is involved. So yeah, I like them both individually, on their own. So yeah. I don't regret getting any of the games that we got at Essen. Even the ones that have left our collection, I don't have regret at that at all. I think that it's important to play games and enjoy them for what they are, and if they're not meant for you or your collection, that's fine. Like, you can sell them pretty quickly and not necessarily get your full fee back, but you can get a good amount. And it's kind of one of those things, like, it's like when I go to a movie and see a movie and I didn't like the movie, I don't regret watching the movie. It's still, I learned something and I experienced something, and that's how I feel about board games. And Steve is somewhat similar. So yeah, I think that's it. That's all I have. So now you know what has stuck around from Essen in our house, just in time for me to go to Origins here in 2 weeks and add a whole bunch of more games to our collection. I will be at Origins the entire time playing games, and I will be releasing a top whatever excited games from Origins video, as I typically do on my way to cons. but you have to just hold out for that and see how it goes. So yeah, what game from my haul, or did you see that people were bringing back from Essen that you've had a chance to play that you think is super worthy and interesting? Do you agree or disagree with any of the decisions I've made? Just let me know down in the comments. And yeah, if you like this video, feel free to subscribe. Wait, no. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, feel free to subscribe. And all the streams for all these games that we've played are down in the doobly-doo. Goodbye!